Welcome to Little Bottles, Big Shifts, the ADHD wellness podcast for women. I'm Imelda, and each week I'll be bringing you bite-sized tips, real talk, and a dash of essential oil goodness to help you shift from frazzled to flourishing. So, let's get on with it, shall we? Enjoy the episode. Well, hello there, and welcome to Little Bottles, Big Shifts. This October, I'm doing something a little different. A mini-series called Spooky Shifts. 4 short weekly episodes all about the witchy side of October. The Celtic SOW-in festival, Halloween, witches, and why this season always feels a little bit more magical or spooky. Or both. And of course, I'll be weaving in what this all means if you've got an ADHD brain like me, and how little rituals like working with essential oils can make these shifts easier and more nourishing. So grab a cuppa, maybe light a candle, and let's step into the shadows together. So October has, hands down, always been my favourite month. I've always loved Halloween and the general spooky vibes that autumn brings. So why does October feel spooky? Why does this month carry such a certain charge that September doesn't and November doesn't quite hold in the same way? The answer goes back thousands of years to the Celtic festival of Samhain. It was the final harvest of the year, sometimes called the soul harvest. Farmers had already gathered grain in August, fruit in September, and October was the harvest of the spirit, when you looked inward, took stock, and prepared for the darker winter months. The Celts believed that during Samhain, the veil between worlds grew thin. The boundary between the living and the dead was more porous. Ancestors could visit and spirits could wander. And that's why fire rituals, disguises, and food offerings became so important. It was protection, hospitality, and ceremony all rolled into one. And if you don't consciously celebrate Samhain today, you can still feel it in your bones. The days are shorter, the air is cooler, and there's this sense of liminality, being between one thing and another. Day into night, life into death, summer into winter. Our bodies and brains are wired to notice these transitions. So for ADHD brains, these seasonal changes hit differently. We're often really sensitive to our environment, to light, to sound, and mood. So when the nights start drawing in, we feel that drop in daylight as a dip in our dopamine. Our energy can get restless or anxious, and we're not really sure why. If you're anything like me, even just the clocks changing by 1 hour gives me jet lag for a good few days. I don't know about you, but I often find October both exciting and a bit overwhelming. Part of me wants to do all the witchy things, charge up my crystals, make my essential oil potions, get out my tarot cards. And another part of me feels foggy, tired, with an overwhelming urge to hibernate. And that's the ADHD dance. Too much energy and not enough regulation. And something I read really recently about October resonated with me. That this month's element isn't fire or water or earth or air. It's ether, the 5th element, the stuff that exists between things. Ether is the pause between the in-breath and the out-breath. It's the dusk between the day and the night. It's the veil itself, that liminal space that feels spooky because it's so full of potential. So next time you're outside at dusk, just take a pause. Notice how the October air feels different, like it's just carrying more than just that autumn chill. That's ether. For me, it's the perfect metaphor for ADHD as well, because we're often living between focus and distraction, between calm and chaos, between too much and not enough. So the invitation for this month is, what if we made peace with that in-between? What if we let it be a place of magic instead of just discomfort? And this is where little bottles come in. Essential oils are sensory anchors. They can ground us when we're drifting or energise us when we're feeling sluggish. For October, I love leaning into grounding, earthy oils that feel like roots and help me feel centred throughout this transitional period. A great one is the Shinrin-Yoku blend, also known as the Forest Bathing Blend. It evokes a mini forest immersion in your home environment. And Copaiba, sometimes called the gentle giant, it calms the nervous system and eases those ADHD spirals. A drop under the tongue or in the diffuser, and it's like your whole system exhales. And cedarwood, deep, woody, earthy. This is one of my faves to diffuse at night during this month. I'll drop the links to more info on these oils in the show notes. Another great little ritual to do this month is a bit of self-reflection. Nothing too woo-woo. It's really simple. Find a notebook if you want to journal, or just sit somewhere and breathe. Notice how your body feels right now. Maybe give yourself a tiny pause, just to give your brain a little more space. The more you treat this life as a spiritual journey, the easier it becomes. Trying to live your life by other people's rituals or expectations is basically just living your life on hard mode. Rituals, oils, journaling, these aren't about being perfect, but they're about giving your nervous system softness, space, and structure. So here's something that maybe you could try this week. Just ask yourself, where do I feel October in my body? Maybe it's tightness in your chest. Maybe it's racing thoughts at night. Maybe it's heaviness in your shoulders. Just notice it and write it down if journaling helps. And then choose an oil. Breathe it in and see if that sensation shifts. This is such a simple way to link your body, your brain, and your little bottles. So that's why October feels spooky. The veil is thinner, our senses are sharper, and our ADHD brains are picking up all of that liminal energy. But it doesn't have to be scary. With a few grounding rituals, grounding oils in the diffuser, acknowledging how this time of year makes you feel, noticing that element of ether, we can turn spooky season into soul season. So next week we'll be diving into witches, where the stereotype came from, why women with wisdom were feared, and how reclaiming the word witch can help us trust our intuition. I'm very excited about that one. If this episode gave you a little spark of magic, please share it with a friend. It really helps the podcast reach more people. And if you fancy fueling me with a coffee, you'll find the link in the show notes. Until next time, breathe deep, trust your magic, and remember, October isn't just spooky, it's sacred. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Little Bottles, Big Shifts. I hope you found something within my ramblings helpful or inspiring. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're all navigating our own unique paths with ADHD, and sharing our stories can make all the difference. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing so you never miss an update. It would also be amazing if you could spare a few minutes to leave a review. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or topics you'd like me to cover. Also, feel free to connect with me on social media. And if you know of anyone who might find this podcast useful, please do share it with them. And more importantly, be gentle with yourself. Embrace your strengths, learn from your challenges, and remember, every step forward is progress, no matter how small. I look forward to sharing more insights and stories with you next time. Until then, take care and stay curious.